Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 16 of our career mode here at the Sochi Autodrome in Russia. And we're still at, what is it, 100 difficulty, and as you can see, I'm just fiddling with the setup a little bit with that on throttle differential and the brake bias. That's the only thing we change from the default setup. We are just running, I think it was balance preset 3. Just changing that, but heading into qualifying, we make our way through, well, the AI takes us through the final corner, and we start our first lap, and our only lap. Knock on the DRS through turn 1, completely flat, don't even think about lifting, otherwise you deserve a slap. We touch the curb like an idiot. Now, at about 100 meters, we break down into third gear way too late. We should be braking about 110, 120 meters, and then you can get a much nicer, smoother run through turn 2. Flat out through turn 3, pull it over to the left, drop it down to fourth, easy on the power. You can drop it down to third, but it's just a little bit aggressive, I feel. When the curb starts on the left, that's when you slow it down. Fourth gear again. This Russia circuit does love its fourth gear corners. Now, you guessed it, we drop it back down into fourth gear on the power. Try to use as much track as possible. Quick shift down into fifth and use up all of the track on exit. Can drop it into fourth, and we'll drop it into fourth for this corner again. Third is plausible, but I just kind of want to keep it nice and sensible. We're in fifth at the minute, on the borderline of fourth, I do believe, as we head through. I believe this is the kink of 12, and now into turn 13. Use all of the track down into third gear. Now you can quickly shift down into second, but I decided to keep it in third just to minimize the wheel spin, as it is very slippy in sector 3. Now we completely overshoot the left right of 15 and 16, just braking too late. Very easy to run wide into that chicane, and now into the double right hander. We drop it into fourth and we end up running wide, and now we're just kind of just trying to control a weird slide all the way through. And yeah, that costs us another position. Cheers, Jeff. And that puts us down in sixth. We should have had fifth, maybe fourth, but a very, very scruffy sector 3 really costed us. Definitely, we lost 2/10 there for sure, if not more. But, I mean, this is kind of what you guys wanted, you know, turn the difficulty up, struggle a little bit more. If we were on 95, we'd be winning. 100 is just that little bit too hard, especially now that we're at tracks that I haven't done on the in Valence League. As you can see, it's raining. Ideally, I would like to change my front and rear wings, maybe just add a few ticks to the rear. On throttle differential is down at 50, and brake bias is at 54. I turn it up to 56 because I like the brake bias more towards the front when you go from dry to wet, as I find that the rears tend to lock up a lot. You knock it down into lean, ERS at high for the start of the race, off the line, up into second, third, and now we turn up the fuel to standard. Ideally, I'd like less fuel and run on the leaner fuel modes. We lose a position to Raikkonen straight away off the start, but we can have a go into turn 1 now. I think I did 2 flashbacks in this race. Into turn 1, we avoid hitting the back of Leclerc, and we have overtaken Raikkonen as there's contact between us and Kimi. And now we're just right behind. Little left, but as you can see, we lose a back end and we try to hold it, but we get collected by the Haas, and that sends us into the wall. So I decided that from that I would do a rewind. So what we learned is that this corner in the wet, when we've got the default wings, is not flat out. Anyway, we get very close to Kimi into turn 4, but we decide against as we have a massive snap of oversteer on exit. But I mean, I don't know what to say. Once I saw the rain, I was kind of distraught. I knew it was going to go badly. Because, you know, it's one thing using default setups in the dry, it costs you a little bit, but when you use default setups in the wet, I think it's even more costly, especially when you have even wings, and I don't know, I just don't like it. I just don't like the wet in general as we make our way onto the back straight. Again, another snap of oversteer. To be fair, we are sticking with Kimi, who isn't falling too far back from Albon. So I don't know what I'm doing right now. I think I wanted to check the weather forecast, but we drop it down into third. We're right on Kimi's tail, and I'm sure I've discussed this before in Valence League or maybe previous races in the career mode itself, that it's so difficult to overtake in the wet because slipstream just doesn't play that kind of a factor anymore. And of course, you have no DRSs. I checked the weather report, and yeah, we're not going to be getting slicks anytime. We just don't have that quick of a weather transition in these 5-lap races to really ever warrant switching tyres. But still in 7th place as we end at a lap 1, and Sector 3 seems to be the section we're struggling in. Sector 2 seems to be alright, that being said though. Let's see where we decide to brake. Just after the 150 meter board, and we get a decent run. What I've tended to find that once you're in 5th gear, you can just floor it even in the wet, even if you're in full wet. That being said, you can do it in 4th gear as well, or at least I've been doing so in Spa once you get that confidence. So when you do short shift, guys, once you get to 4th, you can really start, you know, abusing the throttle. So don't get scared past that point. Is my kind of advice if you aren't using any traction control. As you can see, I'm still sticking to 4th. I don't want to drop it down into 3rd because, again, coming into this race, I'd done a quick practice race, but that was it. So I'm not 100% familiar with the track. You know, after this comes Suzuka, then Mexico, or USA, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, and again, these are all tracks that I'm not comfortable with. So it's the question is, do I put in practice beforehand, or do I go straight for it as we look for a dive on Kimi? But he leaves us room, but we still have to cut the corner a bit, and we can't quite make it work. Now, Kimi is falling back slowly from Alex Albon, but we are right there with him as we have to be very careful through this left-right. It's so slippery, but look how close we are to Kimi, and I think we're going to have a go into the penultimate corner. Kimi kind of came partway across, so this was the second flashback that I used in this race. I hope that there wasn't that I don't do it again, but we have a look and we dive it down the inside, and this time we do make it work. Now we're up into 6th, so we can try to hunt down Mr. Albon just a little bit, see if we can close him down and maybe go for a 5th place. Again, it's damage limitation, wet race. We just want to make sure that Vettel can't close that championship lead as much as he otherwise could. After this race, 5 laps remaining, so a total of 125. Wait, nope. You get a point for winning, so 130 points on offer after the race today. So I think we're about 90 something points ahead of him, or 100 points ahead. So that's going to be dropping a little bit. So if we can win the next race, I think we do pretty much close out the championship. But, you know, there's still a bit more that has to be done. So I reckon that we'll probably secure the championship in Japan. You know, taking after the likes of Ayrton Senna and the old classic championship seasons that would be determined at Japan. Back when Suzuka was the last track, or the penultimate track before, I think it was then Adelaide was the final race of the year. As you can see on the minimap, we're pulling away from Kimi a little bit, and I think we're falling back ever so slightly from Alex Albon, but it's an okay gap. Let's see what we can do here. Our ERS is down to 15%. We're still in rich. We do close, so it seems to be in the braking in these wet conditions that we do close into the AI, which is not something that I thought I'd be saying, the fact that I have confidence braking in the wet, but there we go. Anyway, 2 corners to go before we start our penultimate lap of the race. I don't really know what else to talk about. Depending when I upload this video, I think I'm going to upload it pretty much after I record this audio. But we come across the line, we set a new fast lap of a 47.9, which is absolutely fantastic stuff, because it does crucially mean that we're going to get that 1 extra point from Vettel, or take it away from Vettel even. And it also means we're closing into Albon, so we might be able to have a shot for 5th place, and you can see that we're really closing in right now as well. The other thing I need to mention is kind of the fact that I need to do the research and development. As we lose a back end, we have a massive moment. And okay, I was wrong. There were 3 rewinds in this, but yeah, again, I was just getting greedy. Like, I can see Albon, and I'm closing, and I'm closing, and I'm just like, let's go. We have a moment anyway through there, so we still lose some time regardless. But yeah, Albon's just a little bit too far ahead, I think. But yeah, as I was saying, research and development, I need to put some points in there, because I think Red Bull are now the fastest car, or like practically even with us, and I have a few R&D points to use. So with tracks like Suzuka and USA, Mexico, I think I'm going to go for chassis upgrades because powertrain's not going to help that much at the likes of Suzuka, and maybe it will at Brazil, but I think I'm going to go for chassis. And then for the final 2 races of the season, which is Abu Dhabi and Brazil, then I can go for powertrain, really. I don't really want to go for downforce. But actually, let me know what you guys think I should upgrade. If you think I should focus on the chassis first and then powertrain and then aero. And I'll include me, you know, spending those points in the next episode. But yeah, I think the general consensus was that you want me to do Williams for next year, so I will do that. I think I'm going to do 50% races, 105 difficulty throughout, or maybe 103 difficulty. But yeah, I'm going to put a fair bit of practice into each race event just to get comfortable with the circuits, etc. Get some setups going, all of that kind of stuff as we enter the final lap of the race here at Sochi. And well, we're still in 6th. We've closed into Albon, but we're still a bit too far back as we have we judder around a lot under braking, just not keeping the car straight. And as you can see, just constantly trying to correct for that oversteer and trying to anticipate that oversteer. As you know, you can see the green line, how much throttle I'm applying through turn 3, just trying to be as cautious as possible. But, I mean, Albon is within striking distance if he makes a mistake, but with the AI, they never really make a mistake. It's just if they have, like, a gearbox issue or something like that. Speaking of gearboxes, I think I need to use my last gearbox that I have available to me. In Sector 2 now, again, just feeding the throttle on, and we have a massive moment with the back, and we somehow catch it, but that's the race over. Or, I say race over, but that's our chances of 5th over. And you know, Singapore, we had that big incident where we lost the back end and we ended up losing like 3 places. And, well, here Russia in the way. If it was dry here at Russia, I think we could have won the race. Definitely, I've picked up a podium. It's just a shame how it's panned out. But it is what it is. You know, we had a lot of pace in previous races as, again, another snap of oversteer. And the issue was, as you can see, there's no more rain falling. So the track's drying out. So you're just trying to push the limits, and you can see the tire temps. You know, it's 90. This would be the perfect lap to pit for dries, I feel, because it's just tires overheating. But as a result, there you go. Bottas decides to set a fastest lap of the race, beating us by 0.4 of a second. So we don't even get faster lap because the rain stopped coming down. If the rain had continued, maybe we could have, you know, stuck with Albon, had to go for 5th into turn 13. But as I mentioned before, it is what it is, and that's all there is. So yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Next round will be round 17 at Suzuka. Difficulty is going to stay at 100. It's not going up from here. We finished 6th, and now we are 90 points ahead of Vettel. So as long as we can keep it above 80 coming out of Suzuka, we win the championship. Sorry, not 80 out of Suzuka, over like 105 out of Suzuka. So if we can win and get a good amount of points, that'll be great. But that's all that we have time for. So until next episode, guys, stay milky, and assalamu alaikum.